What's happening, everybody? This is Colin Andrews, and this is Crushing Crypto, where we show you how we're crushing it in crypto so you can crush it as well. And today we're coming live from all across the world. I am in Medellin, Colombia, and we have our friend here, Joe from Digibyte, who is in New Zealand. And what area in New Zealand are you in right now?
Yeah, so I'm in the North Island. It's actually really funny. We have incredibly original names. So our founders basically decided, well, not founders, but they decided we're going to go with North Island, South Island. Like, what great names, right? Like,
right, brilliant, creative to the extent. So North Island then is what you guys call it down under, huh?
Yeah, that's the one.
All right, excellent. So great. So for everyone that's watching this, one of the ways that we really, decide what kind of moves that we make as far as investing in crypto and which ones we decide to is not just learning about the technology, but learning about the people behind it. Because when it comes down to it, you can have the best technology in the world. You can have, some great developers, but if you don't have people to actually get the work done, to actually, take it to a different level, to hit the milestones, to hit the goals, then a project's just going to stay flat. It's going to lose any type of momentum. It's going to, just people are going to move on. And with having over 1,600 tokens that are out there now, it's like you really have to kind of, really have your act together on multiple parts in order to really have long-term success. And so, first, just off the bat, I got to give you guys props. Right now you guys are, top 50 tokens out of all of them. You guys have been around for a while. You guys have some pretty solid name recognition. And so, yeah, we'd like to kind of just, pull back the curtain, so to say, and learn a little bit more about DGB. And if you could just kind of start out for those, let's say the Homer Simpsons out there that, don't know exactly what DGB is all about. Maybe they're just, getting started. Can you kind of share a little bit more about, how did DGB come about? How did you guys, decide like, hey, we want to create this, and just kind of the overall start and what makes DGB different than, some of the other cryptos that are out there?
Right. So that's really, really good. It was started originally by Jared Tate. Basically, kind of, he had a look basically back in the day in his crystal ball, I suppose it were, at Bitcoin and Litecoin and where they were going and what the future of crypto looked like. And basically saw there were a number of kind of impending issues that were going to just close in on them. One of which is we're seeing already with the Bitcoin transactions. 4 transactions per second is just simply not enough. And so the goal was to basically create something that would resolve those issues. And also, we were big advocates for on-chain scaling. So we're not kind of about the the sharding and off it goes and things. We're basically about, we want to keep it on-chain. It's actually really funny. What's his name? Roger Ver recently put out a little kind of like a spreadsheet on Twitter. And he's like, we're the true Bitcoin. Look at us. And so I basically took his little spreadsheet, added an extra column. I'm like, let's see how many Digibyte ticks, right? We took all of them. So we're more Bitcoin than even Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash as far as they're concerned, which is quite funny. So thanks, Roger Ver, for that. But yeah, so that's kind of the goal, is we're all about on-chain scaling and about, I suppose, the decentralization and security. That's pretty big for us. It's not just about being able to use it as payments so that I can send you money and remittance. Like, that's cool and all. We work great for that, don't get me wrong. But it's not just about that. It's also about security, and I think we're going to see a lot more focus in the blockchain space on security over the coming year or two.
Excellent. And when you talk about security and also just the quickness of the system, what is it? Can you kind of talk a little bit more about, and I know you're not a techie, I'm not the super techie, super nerd that, a lot of these crypto guys are, like we were, talking about, joking around earlier, we actually can communicate. We have, we're not scared to jump on camera right? So if you can, without, obviously going too far down into it, you make those comparisons to Bitcoin, say we're almost more like Bitcoin than Bitcoin. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about the actual technology that you guys have that, that you feel is, there's obviously a reason why you came out, and there has to be features and benefits to what you have, as opposed to, the other blockchains that have been around longer or might have, more name recognition.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Basically, so we are still based on the UTXO, I suppose, methodology for transactions, just like Bitcoin, just like Litecoin. But in addition to just, so Bitcoin is the SHA-256 hashing algorithm, very ASIC dominated. Litecoin is the Scrypt hashing algorithm, again, 100% ASIC dominated. And so we have 5 different mining algorithms that we use, and they all rotate approximately every 15 seconds a block is found. So the reason that we do this is for, first of all, speed. We're really fast every 15 seconds compared to every 10 minutes. So we're 40 times faster. But then also we've got decentralization and distribution of the blockchain as a result of this. So the decentralization plays into it because we want more people to have the blockchain. We want it to be spread out far and wide. We don't want just kind of 21 nodes that can get on a conference call and decide, right, this is how it's going to run, right? Like we want global decentralization here. And so being able to mine Digibyte on your graphics card and your computer helps to contribute to that. And so, yeah, so we've basically, I think we're faster, better, stronger. We're the longest UTXO blockchain out there as well. I think I did some math the other day, and so we're basically already on our 6 millionth block, which I don't think Bitcoin's going to end up getting to until the year like 2100 or something. So we're literally like a century ahead of Bitcoin there. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Got it. And so with that quickness and having, as short of blocks that you have, and just the overall speed transactions as well, how is that working as far as adoption? I mean, obviously, being 50, top 50 in CoinMarketCap definitely says a lot. Do you have, what kind of initiatives do you have to actually have this, have greater adoption, not just on the mining and that side, which, you alluded to, but also just really making it in a way where, people can use this, like it sounds like really what the goal is?
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that we've been looking at is an initiative in Venezuela, of all places. And so with this initiative, basically, they're suffering hyperinflation there. And it's obviously really bad for their general worth. Let's say you're paid the equivalent of, $4 one day. It's only actually worth the same as about $3.50 a week later. And so, yeah, it's all kinds of crazy over there. But one of the things that we've been looking at doing with David Hay is using Digibyte specifically over there with our mobile wallets, with all of the vendors that they have both on the street, official stores, all that sort of jazz to help alleviate that kind of hyperinflation. So even though you look at, I think 2017, we had 12% inflation in terms of the supply. And in 2018, we're looking, I think it's going to be around about 8%. They can do that in a week, basically. So, and same for the price fluctuations that go up and down. This is one of the things, obviously, that concern a lot of investors in the Western world. In Venezuela, they have that literally day in, day out, if not worse. So, yeah, so we're basically, that's one of the sort of things that we're looking at. We've also got things like DigiID, which allows for authentication and security based on blockchain technology of Digibyte. So we've got a bunch of little initiatives and things like that we're working on, that we're pursuing, and we're looking more about, I suppose, real world and just like tangible usage rather than we're not here for a quick pump and dump, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, we've been here for 4 years now. This is not, we're not new to this. So yeah.
Got it. And living down here in Medellin, Colombia, I'm friends with David Hay, actually. So he was telling me, about the project and about what he's doing. And it's great. The idea of being able to, help these communities that are, some of them in the most need possible, and that they're, coming over to Colombia for their basic staple. and that for you guys to be able to actually have the ability to use crypto that will serve, not just the people that, that are in the industrialized countries that have, all the bells and whistles and the opportunities and the majority of the wealth, but you guys are really going out and trying to make something improve in an area that normal government, normal monetary fiat systems have basically let these people down.
Yeah, and so that's really interesting as well, because you look, obviously they're trying to do the Petro at the moment, and it's kind of like let's look at history here, right? So if we take the track record and then we look at, right, we're gonna give you now a bunch more money. Your track record of managing that money right now is pretty terrible. So why would we don't care if you're going to try and peg it to the price of crude oil or whatever, the barrel. It's still not going to work. It's a terrible idea. So yeah, have you managed to make it to the border there in Kugata to see?
I haven't yet, no, but that's on the plan. I was actually the next trip that David goes to. I was planning on going with him. So definitely something that's a goal. Do you have any plans to come out, or are you gonna that's a little bit more of a hike than my hour flight?
Yeah, I'd love to, but to be honest, it's one of the things about because we are so decentralized, we don't actually take like any kind of mining rewards per block like you'd have, say, with Zcash. We don't have any kind of central governing entity that started off with like 10% pre-mine. So any Digibyte that I've got are basically, mostly my life savings that I've kind of put into it. And they're all things that I've mined myself or purchased myself. So in terms of being a rich fella who can, make a trip over to Colombia to see that kind of thing, unfortunately, I just can't. But it's one of the things David's going to send back some more videos and things. He's already sent us a couple. We did an initial kind of, how much do you know about when he first started that project?
Yeah, so he's kind of gone through, a good portion of it, and I know it's just really kind of getting off the ground right now, and he's looking at getting laptops for folks, and just really cool kind of how you guys are going to distribute the tokens and how the verification is going to go, and how they're going to be able to use it to actually buy staples that they need.
So talking about real world usage, that was one of the things basically I saw his video. One of the guys from our Telegram chat sent me a message and basically said, hey, you need to get in touch with David. Hey, give him a call. And he's got this initiative down in Venezuela that he wants to make happen. And we get people contacting us all the time going, hey, we should partner together. We can be great together. And then it turns out that they just basically don't have any developers and they want us to do their work for them. So I'm skeptical about every kind of partnership that comes our way, right? Like we've been doing it for 4 years where we're not new to people wanting to basically just, poach off you really. So I get in touch with David Hay though. He's a cool guy, really good dude. And he starts talking about his vision and things. And I've watched his videos. And so I said, you know what, this is great that we're looking at, you want us to put together a proposal and things. But how can Digibyte help right now? Like if you were to say to me, all right, let's say we've got $5,000, $10,000 that we can just take down there in Digibyte, what would you do with that? How could you help the people who are most in need? And so he basically said, well, for starters, $10,000 would be a huge security problem, right? So he's like, we're not going to do $10,000. But he said, if you want to raise a little bit of money, he's like, we don't want to make a great big hoo-ha about it, but if you can do something and sort of do some kind of just mention it on your Telegram channels. Don't go tweeting it out because we don't want to create a big drama for anybody else who's potentially looking at applying or putting together a proposal to be the chosen cryptocurrency. So I said, yeah, that's cool. So I jumped on the Telegram channels and I basically said, hey guys, we're putting together a small fund and this is going to be like an emergency aid fund. And so basically I've gone to David and I've said, you spend this money however you best think you can help the people down in Venezuela. And literally 48 hours later, we had, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000 or something. We're able to give it to David Hay. He goes down there. He basically, I think there was 1,000 bottles of water he was able to basically donate to the local Red Cross. And in addition to that, he also went down to a local orphanage and he was able to feed, I think, 160 children, I think he said, for a whole month with the food that we were able to give. And so this to me, this is better than any kind of ICO that's promising the world, right? Like this is cryptocurrency with legs. This is people helping people. And this is exactly what cryptocurrency was made for, is that kind of thing. I was like, I was so proud of our community, just rising to the challenge straight away. There were no questions. It was just, this is cool. This is awesome. Let's get behind this. Let's do something. So yeah, I think
absolutely. That's great. Small world, huh?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah,
it really
man.
is. Especially in the crypto world. Excellent. So, you talk about the community. What would you say? I mean, you guys have been around obviously for years now. You have one of the longest existing blockchains that there are, no? As far as just overall time, and you said as well as blocks as well. So what is it? A lot of people really they take, a certain area when it comes to, their crypto. With yours, you talk about faster, quicker, more secure. A lot of different blockchains, hype that. That's a lot of, that's a very common features that lots of blockchains, lots of cryptos talk about. So what is it from the other 300 that, talk about faster, quicker, secure? What is it really that stands out with DGB, and why you guys are, in the top 50 when you have features that are very, on the peripheral side, very similar to what other offerings that other cryptos have?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. There was recently this, I don't know if you saw it, it was doing the rounds, especially on Twitter, and it was basically a list of I think the top 100 cryptocurrencies, and it summed them up basically in one sentence. And so next to Digibyte, it has faster Bitcoin. It's well, that's great, but everybody's faster than Bitcoin. That's not an accomplishment, right? Everybody's faster than Bitcoin. There is one blockchain that's out there that has hour-long blocks or something like that, but everybody's faster than Bitcoin, right? So that's not really a really good claim to fame,
Right.
So one of the things that, the reason that we're different, so most of the ones that are faster are proof of stake, whereas we believe in mining, and so we are 100% proof of work at the moment, although there is potentially, we're looking at ways that staking could potentially improve the security of the blockchain. But we find that most of the ones that are faster are basically, we look at a lot of them, they're even just sitting on top of the Ethereum blockchain, and CryptoKitties brought that to its knees. That's not something that's going to work out well when you're standing in the middle of Kugata trying to buy yourself bread and milk. Sorry, you can't, because, Joe Bloggs over on the other side of the world decided that he wants to buy himself a really, really expensive virtual cat, right? It's not even a gigabit, so they're not even as, I remember gigabits from back in the day. But
right.
So everybody's claim to fame is that they're faster than Bitcoin, but we believe basically about the security. So we've got security, the decentralization, the distribution, on-chain scaling, and when you kind of combine all of those together, because of the DigiShield hashing algorithm and difficulty adjustment algorithm, when you combine that with our 5 different mining algorithms, we have some amazing security on the blockchain, and it's really cool. So being 15 seconds, we can scale. At the moment, we're doing 560 transactions per second. Bitcoin does 4. Again, that's not really a big claim to fame because everybody does more than Bitcoin, but we have the planned scaling in place to go up to 280,000 transactions per second. And we've tested this. So this isn't some hypothetical thing where I think it was Nano we can do hundreds of thousands, and then somebody tested it. And then they did maybe, I think it was 90 transactions per second. We've actually tested this 280,000 transactions per second. We can do it. It's been done. We've done tests. And this was back 2 or 3 years ago, back when bandwidth was expensive as hell. We set it up online, did some tests. And so it was amazing. It worked out really well. So it's not just about scaling, but we can scale on the blockchain itself. And we've got the efficiencies, I suppose. We've also got things like the wallets that are, I think we have 50 languages or something. So if you're going to be going into somewhere, say Venezuela, Colombia, you're going to have to speak the local language, because if you fire it up, right, and you see, and it's in English, and you're looking at it going, I don't know what the hell, what does this mean? That's not helpful to anybody.
Right. Crypto's, challenging enough for the average person, much less if it's not in their language, right? Absolutely. Got it. So, with that technology, Joe, is that something is it yours that you guys built in house? Is it something that, anyone can rip off and make a DGB blockchain that has the same type of features and scaling and quickness and security? Why is the technology that you have, is it yours, or why is it something that's like, hey, this makes us stand out? Is it because that's yours, or talk to us about that?
There's two parts to that. So first of all, can someone rip it off? It's all open source. And so, if you wanted to, you can go out tomorrow, you can fork the GitHub repo, and you can make Digibyte 2.0. And you can start your own blockchain literally based on ours, but with your own Genesis block. It's all there, everything that you needed to. So if you wanted to, if you think you've got some kind of a value proposition that is better than Digibytes, cool. You can absolutely go for it. And that's part of the underlying, I suppose, ethos and vibe of the crypto community and open source software in general, is that you can do that. So if you want to, everything is all there. It's all in black and white. You can go ahead and do that if you really wanted to. And we're not going to try and stop anybody. In fact, quite the opposite. The reason that Dogecoin specifically survived is because they implemented DigiShield, which is something that Digibyte basically came up with back in 2014. And so they had all of these multi-mining pools that would kind of come in and they would bring a whole lot of hash power. They would mine the heck out of it until the next difficulty adjustment, and then they would disappear. And so what you would find is that the chains would basically freeze. And so I think that even happened with Digibyte as well twice. And the blockchain basically froze for all of, I think it was like half a day or something. And that's terrible if you are trying to pay for something. This was back in 2014. And so they came up with DigiShield as a way to prevent that. And so after each individual block, the difficulty gets adjusted so that the next one should be found in 15 seconds. So this particular code, this is now in Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, Zcoin, Monacoin, Ubic. It's open source. It's anywhere you can use it, and so it's that kind of fits into it.
For me, I love the altruistic. Hey, the code is open. Other chains are using it and are adopting it. But doesn't it, in a way, by having that kind of openness about it, does that make you guys kind of lose your je ne sais quoi, so to say, your special something? Or do you really feel like in this type of place that, by having a attitude like that in the long run, it really does help out DGB?
I really hope it does, because that's the path that we've been going down, like with the developers and stuff, right? Like, so I've been in talks with the guys behind the Verge, Verge Coin, and they've had their recent issues and things like that. And so we got in a Telegram chat. We're having a bit of a powwow back and forth. And although our developers aren't able to do what we did with Dogecoin and directly like help them and integrate the code, we've basically pointed them to the code that they would need for DigiShield, and we've said to them, if you had this, your last two double spend attacks, they wouldn't have happened. They couldn't have happened. So here's the code. Here's what you need. And I was talking with them, and I basically said, I encourage you to implement this, even though our devs can't specifically sit down with you and do it with you. You've got your devs are clever enough. I'm sure you can work it out. And this is great, because this will fix your problems. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of bad, obviously, because they are, in the one sense, our competitor. But at the same time, this doesn't have to be like a winner-takes-all kind of scenario, right? So even though they are multi-algorithm, just like Digibyte, it's not like we have to specifically cannibalize them in order for us to be a success. Success isn't basically just being the number one on CoinMarketCap. I mean, although that would be pretty cool, right? Don't get me wrong, but there's more to it than just the dollar figure. And I'm of the opinion myself, and so is Jared and all of the other foundation development team, that the real world adoption, as we head out further and we do things like with David Hay in Venezuela, that we're actually going to see a lot more long-term movement and stability kind of come out, rather than just the hype. Yes, we've got this new ICO, this new pipe dream, There's not even a mainnet yet. And it's worth like $18 billion. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit jealous about that, right? Like, yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, no, totally. So what do you guys see, with, 6 months, a year, down the road, how do you see DGB really becoming, as far as, do you see it being because of the fast transaction speed, that people are going to start using it and developing apps where, merchants are going to be able to use it, and that it'll be used more like a currency? Or do you see, because of the security and how long it's been around, and that you guys are, basically been compared to, a faster Bitcoin, which, in a way I totally get what you're saying, as far as like, 1,500 of the 1,600 tokens are faster than Bitcoin. But I also think give you, though, it's major props in the other way, though, saying that, you guys have all the same great features of Bitcoin and why the people like Bitcoin, but it's also faster as well. So then on that side, it would be more of a store of value. So I'm kind of curious, because you have kind of, it could go both ways based on how people look at you and based on how you guys are set up.
Yeah. And so I love that you've picked that up, because so we are a faster Bitcoin, but in addition to that, we are based on the same technology. The core wallet was based on the same sort of code base, but we have re-enabled the script language that you can use to basically do things like smart contracts and stuff like that. So Bitcoin had that technology, but they basically they pulled it out a long time ago, because they saw that people were putting things into the blockchain and stuff that was going to effectively bloat it. So we've gone and we've brought that back, and we've had that ever since the beginning. We never pulled it out. So wait, sorry, where were we going with this? There was
yeah, talking about store of value versus transactions, and just kind of.
Sorry, thank you. So,
all good.
I like that you've picked up on that, because on the one hand, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can be transactional. Yes, we can do smart contracts. Yes, we can do security. But because we aren't a centrally controlled entity, like we're not kind of like one group that just looks after everything and you've got to use it this way. There's no other options, but you can do whatever you want with it. And so it's actually really interesting. I was talking with a friend of mine who's also in New Zealand, and he basically sort of said, hey, so how's it going with Digibyte? I said, yeah, it's been cool. We've been doing some great stuff with the foundation and things. I said, what have you been up to? And he says, well, funny you mention, this, because basically we've been implementing Digibyte into our product here in New Zealand. And I was like, wait, what? Why didn't you mention something? And he was like, well, because I don't have to mention anything. Like, you don't need to know, right? And I'm like, no, of course not. I think it's cool, and we'd love to be able to, tell the world about what you're doing. But he was like, no, we're just doing some low-key stuff. We're tying it into the product, and we're using Digibyte. And so we had no idea, and they basically had kind of half a product that was already built on top of Digibyte and things. And so it's interesting in that respect, because they don't require our permission. They can do whatever the hell they like out there, right? So if you want to use it for transactions, that's great. If you want to use it for DigiID for authentication, that's cool. If you want to use it as a store of value, just look at what happened with the value from 2017 to 2018. And I mean, obviously we're optimistic that things are going to keep going up, but it's a bearish market out there. What are you going to do, right? So
yeah,
you can do whatever you want. If you want to do any of those, it's cool.
Got it. So you're really saying that, I mean, you guys aren't really creating the path per se, saying that we need to go this direction. You have a lot of features and a lot of benefits that you guys have created over the years that people can use, that dependent on what it is that their focus is or what their goals are. And that You're saying, hey, we're going to try to create the best platform that is a store of value, that does have fast transactions, that does have security, that does have ID, that has these things, and say, hey, look, this is what it is. Use it, go forth and sin no more, so to say. Right. Merry Christmas to you. Yeah. So that kind of sounds like that's the decentralized mentality, and that might actually kind of go into my next question, which for you guys to be a top 50 coin, you know, for me personally, like knowing the team, knowing who they are, who's behind it is very important for me. And that's, you know, one of the reasons, you know, why we were really just, you know, so amped to get you on, is because when we were looking for that and we, you know, we go to the, you know, the DGB website, you guys don't really have a team, like here's who our people are. And anytime that, you know, for me, and again, you know, you guys, how long you guys have been around and just your reputation, you guys kind of in a way don't need to have that per se, as opposed to like a brand new token that's like, okay, these guys just threw up a website, they're not willing to put their names behind it. Who are these ding dongs? So I was kind of curious, you know, when and I'll just bring up your I'm going to bring up your site right now, that when I was on there, I was like, man, this is a really sharp site, but they're not sharing who their people are. And so I was kind of curious, like what was the thinking behind that? And is that something that, you know, you guys did purposely? And then since it's not there and people that are wanting to check out Digibyte, they can't see it either. If you could kind of share a little bit about the team and how many developers and just, you know, who is pushing forward the advancement of Digibyte?
Yeah, so that's really good question. So at the top there, we've got DGB Foundation. And so because anybody can support Digibyte, right? So we're very decentralized. So on the Digibyte Foundation, originally there was a bunch of us. And so there was Jared Tate's photo was up there. There was my photo was up there. We had a few other people and things. But I think we had it under the About page. We don't have it there now, though, because we recently had a problem with basically identity theft. And so somebody basically tried to, I'm not too sure if you read about that. They ended up stealing or porting away some of, I think it was Jared's SIM card, something along those lines. And so in a bid to basically like protect the people that we have and prevent any unwanted attention coming to them for that sort of thing, we've basically pulled the people down temporarily from there. So, you know, it's a catch-22 because like you say, there's tokens that fire up a nice flashy website and it's like, well, who the hell are these clowns? You know, that think they know what's up. They think they've got the greatest thing ever compared to somebody. If you were to look at Digibyte, you know, it's a very different. It is a different mindset, and that's the thing is we're not an ICO, and that's totally cool. We're actually really proud. We're like, yes, we're not an ICO. We never had a big pre-mine, but it does come with its own set of different challenges as a result. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that we have. We've just recently, actually, one of the guys from the Digibyte awareness team put together a small video. I'll try and find a link for you to include with this later on. And basically what it does is it takes all of the different, like the Git commits and things, and you can see everybody who's contributed to the code. And it's just, he creates this beautiful kind of just visualization of it. And you can see the code spawning out and stuff. It's really cool. I'll dig it up. And that kind of shows just how many people have actually contributed to Digibyte.
Got it. Yeah, that'd be great. And it's unfortunate, you know, with so much good and so many great initiatives that are going there with that have the positive, you know, the intentions, you know, that you have to actually take down who your people are because of certain security, or people are ripping off your names, or, you know, putting your faces and names on other white papers, and, you know, those things are happening. So that totally makes sense. It's just,
it kind of sucks, but it's like at the same time, if you look, like, people know who my face is, right? Like, it's not like I can hide. So
right.
It's mostly for kind of the other people who don't have, I suppose, such a public face. I mean, that sounds a little bit shallow, but it's to help the people who basically aren't specifically on camera all day, every day. And we want to look after them, right? Like, they're our biggest asset, because developers in the crypto space are like unicorns. They are such a rare breed. They're hard to find, especially the really good ones. And we've got some damn good ones. And so we want to look after them. And even though we're not specifically paying them like a full-time wage, because we're decentralized, like, we can't, right? Like, we don't have a great big war chest. We want to look after them as best we can. And so if that means basically we've got to take their photos down off the website so that they don't get any unwanted attention, then you know, it's one of those unfortunate trade-offs that we have to make, but at the same time, we're also quite proud of it, proud that we are so decentralized, and that it is literally only on the foundation website where we've got their, you know, their photos and things like that. Anybody can contribute. We're not a closed source sort of solution. And yeah, so.
Got it. Makes sense. Excellent. So yeah, let's talk about, you know, the future, and just kind of let's wrap it up there as far as just, you know, what is the future for Digibyte? You know, 6 months, a year, 2 years, like what are some initiatives that you have? I'd love to, you know, we have the now interview. I'd love to jump on with you, you know, after you have, you know, some more advancement with certain things that you have, any type of initiatives and such, and kind of almost show like, hey, you know, this is what, you know, Mr. Joe Spackman said on June 20th, and then, you know, X date later, you know, hey, it's, you know, it's going, you know, it actually put through. So, you know, maybe put you on the spot a little bit. You don't have to put exact date, but, you know, I'd love to see, you guys are obviously have been doing a lot of things, you know, be in the top 50, you know, you have to be doing something right. So I'd like to kind of hear, you know, maybe 1 or 2 different initiatives that you guys have that you feel will continue to make Digibyte a asset that people are going to want to be a part of, to want to hold, to want to invest, to want to mine, and really develop it continue to develop the whole ecosystem.
Well, so I think like the people that want to mine, that want to invest, they've got to be aware that obviously, so we're not here for a short-term pump and dump, right? Like, so we've been here for coming up 5 years now. And so we're already planning for what happens after we finish mining all of the blocks in 2035. We're very long-term about the vision. And so, I mean, yeah, it does matter, I suppose, if the price goes up and down a little bit in the interim, but it's not the direct goal. I suppose the goal is more the mass adoption and getting real world use cases, which is going to then foster that kind of like long-term, like a more stable sort of a growth. And so we've got things like, we've got DigiID, which we've just recently brought out a website for. We've had a nice little marketing video put together. And so we're talking with a couple of exchanges about implementing it, and businesses can use it. I think we've also just recently put on Twitter to say we've got a company who's written a plugin, and they've got it on their website and stuff. And so you can use DigiID to, you know, scan your QR code and log in. And this kind of mass adoption from that sort of thing, we're also looking at other ways it can be used in the real world, like physically, as opposed to just for logging into websites and things. So we're talking again with more people about that. A few other things. Jared's obviously mentioned he's got another sort of side project that he's working on sort of in the evenings when he's not doing Digibyte during the day for real estate. We're also looking at, it's difficult because at the same time, like I mentioned, being decentralized, we don't specifically have to know about all the projects. And the interesting thing was that there are people that still don't know about some of the things that we're working on, and we don't know about some of the things that other foundation members are working on. But in terms of adding value for, I suppose, investors and things, one of the things that we've obviously been looking at is adding in like a hybrid staking plus proof of work. And so we're evaluating the merits of that based on both community feedback, obviously, because it's the community that's going to make and break this coin. Like we are decentralized. It's not controlled by one person. And so even if I don't want the staking to go ahead, but the community says yes, then hey, looks like staking's going ahead, right? So we're looking at that, but we're also evaluating it based on the merits of the security first and foremost. Will it contribute, or is it going to hinder the security of the blockchain? And then also on the distribution and the decentralization, because obviously we don't want to swap out a mining algorithm, which you saw on the website there, if it's going to only mean that we're going to be more vulnerable, or that only one particular entity then has all of the mining power and things like that. So that's one of the other things that we're looking at. I know I've actually heard a lot of people say they're super psyched for staking. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I guess let's check back in 6 months and see.
Right. Excellent. So, and that's one of the things, you know, you brought up, you know, the fact that you guys are decentralized. And so when it comes down to it, I'm a big fan of decentralization, obviously, but I feel like sometimes when a coin doesn't really have enough direction or governance that's in place, it's like, how do you get massive adoption with your coin if you don't have, a team of people that are hiring, folks to go out there and reach out to merchants and reach out to people? Like, how do you take a decentralized organization that has, it sounds like a very loose governance and how you guys operate and actually get stuff done?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. And in fact, we noticed that specifically a lot of things began to happen once the foundation was formed. And so in addition to that, even though they reached out to me and basically we've I've been involved with the foundation, we're not the only people working on these things. And so we've actually had some recently, they're called the Digibyte awareness team. So they're just basically like a group of people from the community who've decided to come together, and they specifically want to work on awareness and overall just spreading the word about Digibyte, getting people to know that we're out there and things like that. And so it's people from the community that, I consider myself still a community member. We are all basically the Digibyte community. Mm-hmm. And anybody can come along and do that kind of thing and drive that kind of thing. And so what we found happened was we actually had a couple of people who were really just insanely good at getting in touch with exchanges and working with exchanges. And so when there came sort of technical questions and things that they weren't able to answer themselves, they were then able to reach out to me and some of the other technical people and get assistance with that. But then they handled, a lot of things themselves completely in terms of getting Digibyte listed on exchanges. And so we went from being listed on, I think, around about 10 exchanges. We're now on, I think we're coming up 6 dozen exchanges now, like in the space of 12 months, because of people from the community who've basically taken the initiative and the ownership of the blockchain. And I talked about this a little bit with Jared recently as well in our podcast that we did on the weekend. And so basically anybody, as far as we're concerned, can step up and be somebody official from Digibyte, right? Like, so if you wanted to submit on the Binance listing forms, basically says you must be an official representative of Digibyte or of your token specifically. So if anybody wanted to, as far as I'm concerned, they can go and they can fill that out, because as the community, we are decentralized and they have just as much sway as I do. So why shouldn't they go and fill out that form to apply to be on Binance, right? Because they are just as important, or they have just as much of a say in the direction of things as I do. So if they want to put down there and say they are the CEO. Somebody that just jumps in has just as much a say as you do. I mean, I almost feel like there's benefits to that, but there's also like, what about the people that, don't know what they're doing or have malicious type of things that they might try to do for them to perpetrate that they are Digibyte? That could also, I would think that could come back and make you look bad as well. Yep. Yeah, they could. And so that's the thing is, there was a meme contest last year and things that made Digibyte look pretty bad around about the same time as we were doing the Tick for Integrity challenge and things like that. But that's we kind of just got to roll with the punches on certain things. But we'd like to think that for the most part, if you're coming along to do something like that, there's probably going to be a good reason why you're going to spend your time and invest all this effort into it. I mean, yeah, people can come along and just shit on Digibyte, right? Like, we can't stop them from doing that. But at the same time, I kind of feel like if the masses are empowered enough, if you wanted to yourself, you could go along and fill out that form for Binance. And that's great. Mm-hmm. I think that's fantastic that you're able to do that you're able to be empowered to take part. But if you don't want to, if you just basically want to go and you want to buy some Digibyte and leave it on Bittrex and then sell it 6 months down the track, that's totally cool. Again, because we're not a centrally controlled kind of organization. We're not telling you what you've got to do with your coin. We're not telling you that if you don't move it after 3 years, it's going to be distributed to everybody in the blockchain, right? You've seen the news there. So right. Yeah, there's pros and cons to it, obviously, but for the most part, there will always be bad actors. Mm-hmm. We've even said, like, people can come along and they can fork Digibyte. Like, we can't stop them. And that doesn't matter if we have essentially controlling entity or if we don't. Like, I mean, you've seen the likes of, I think it was Monero, they've recently forked 4 different ways. That sort of thing could potentially still happen with Digibyte. It could get forked 4 different ways. But the value proposition, I suppose, is in the number of people that are using Digibyte that have that wallet that believes that this is the true Digibyte blockchain, and also the direction and the developers that have been working on it thus far. Most people would kind of say, yeah, they've actually been looking after it pretty well. They've been, you know, they're developing things like we've got DigiShield, the multi-algorithm fork. We were one of the first for SegWit adoption. And yeah, so most people would kind of go, yeah, you know what, actually, we're going to stick with Digibyte rather than, you know, Digibit or something, or Orange Digibyte, you know, like that kind of thing. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. And as far as the places where people can go, it looks like Bittrex and Polynex are the two main spots based on, I'm looking at the coin market cap with the markets right now. Is that where, you know, you recommend if people want to go and invest? Is that
do you want to scroll down there? How many are actually on coin market cap? Because I know we're on 65 at least, but I think the recent number being thrown around is
35 here is what it's showing. So it looks like a good point.
I'm just looking through there, and I'm not even seeing the New Zealand exchanges. Cryptopia's on there. That's cool, but I know that we're also on Easy Crypto, and I think it's BitPrime and a bunch of others. So if you want to buy Digibyte, there are so many places you can do it. There are, yeah. So I think we're coming up to 70 different exchanges.
Okay.
Like that's
lots of different places you can go. There's, you know, pretty solid liquidity, it looks like, as well. So, I mean, you know, being a top 50 coin, it's gonna be that. Awesome. So, hey, you know, great interview. You really laid out, you know, just kind of where Digibyte is and just really kind of the spirit of DGB. You do a great job with it. For all the folks that are listening to this right now, you know, that might just be getting into crypto or, you know, are looking for, you know, best ways or best, you know, tips and thoughts and ideas for somebody that's been involved and you know, you're really, you know, deep in with the foundation with Digibyte. You know, it sounds like you eat, live, and sleep, eat, breathe, and sleep it. What will give me, you know, something for the folks that are listening? What's a tip, some type of, you know, best practice, something that you would give to somebody who is a new investor in crypto? What would you leave them with?
Some advice. I mean, there's a couple of things. The number one mistake that I see people making is that they keep their funds on the exchange. And so I would say to anybody, if you are going to go and you're going to buy something like Digibyte, do not leave it on an exchange, basically because you don't control your private keys, which means you don't control your funds. They're not yours. You've given custody of them to somebody else. And so part of the underlying mantra or spirit of cryptocurrency is that you are in control. You are your own bank. You look after your own stuff, and you're ultimately responsible for it. So if you are a complete newbie and that sort of sounds a little bit intimidating, look at something like the Exodus wallet, where basically you can buy Digibyte from directly within the Exodus wallet itself if you already have Bitcoin. So that's probably a really good place to start. Look at places maybe where if you find an exchange that will allow you to purchase Digibyte directly with your own local currency. I know that we're supported in everything from Indian rupee, South African rand, the US dollar, the euro, New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, everything you can buy it directly basically. And so I would recommend basically if you go out, buy it, keep it on your own wallet, on your own computer, and look into a few kind of best practices for keeping yourself safe. Presume your computer gets lost, gets stolen, assume the worst. How are you going to get your funds back, be it Digibyte or be it something else? You've got to look after yourself there in that respect, I suppose. And the other thing that I would also suggest is that people have a healthy degree of skepticism, because it's so easy to make an announcement and to say, we're going to do this and we're now working with this company. And people are like, yes, this is great. But then like nothing materializes, or it's an announcement of an announcement and things, right? So a healthy degree of skepticism is fantastic. and I would encourage it, right? So yeah, don't take everything you see on the internet as gospel, right? So,
that's real, right? Especially in crypto, it's not always the real deal, isn't it? And unfortunately, people do get hurt from Big Connect. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate it, Joe. For everyone that's listening to this right now, you really get an idea of the spirit of just what they're trying to do and the goals of Digibyte. And if you guys are interested, again, it's DGB is the ticker. And again, keep your tokens unless you're trading, that day, keep your tokens off exchanges. You just saw another hack just yesterday that happened. I think it was like around 30 million with the Korean exchange BitThumb. And so, these things are happening and you got to be your own bank. So awesome thoughts to leave with those guys on that, along with the healthy bit of skepticism is definitely great words of wisdom. So Joe, very much appreciative. Hope you guys absolutely continue to crush it and accomplish your goals. And also, I plan on being down over on the border in Kukata, or Kukata, and be able to network and really see what's going on and get down to the ground and see what kind of good can be done with crypto with Mr.
Nice.
Hey, so we'll make sure.
Send like a little selfie video or something when you're down there, right? Like pop it up and.
We'll do a shout out. We'll do a shout out to DGB and Joe from the other side of the world. So absolutely, we'll do that. But I can really tell that your heart's in the right place and you guys have the right intention and so it's a beautiful brand new world here in crypto land. So you're one of the guys that are pushing it forward along with Digibyte as a whole. And, our goal is to really bring it to light, the type of people that are really making it happen and to give a face and a voice to crypto. So very, very much appreciated, Joe. And for everyone listening, I hope we brought the heat, hope we brought the goods to you. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, and for everyone else, we'll make sure to keep on bringing you awesome content and some of the best interviews with the brightest minds in crypto. So, Joe, throwing out the peace sign, brother.
Thank you, sir, for having me on the show.
All right. Cheers. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.